I'm here to help facilitate conversations from the industry group and around what can happen in organisations, but also organisations within their supply chains and their broader relationships. Industry is a funny one because it cuts across all the other sectors. In some ways, a lot of the reductions have already happened, particularly as you decarbonise your energy supply, then organisations who are using energy are either buying less carbon-intensive energy, or they're bringing their own energy production in-house and making that low carbon. So that's, if you like, a big part of the very direct impact outwork. The next one, which is one of the other working groups is looking at, is transportation. Now that's of course a really hard nut to crack, and you have to talk to the person who's facilitating transportation and around that. Where we've been focusing in our working group is more leaving those two things aside. Where are the opportunities for dealing with carbon in organisational settings? And this is where you start to get into really systems-wide considerations. So it's about all sorts of things, from redesign of your products to be about services as opposed to about materials. It's about thinking about longevity of products, product design, the materials you might use in your design, as well as going all the way through to your relationship with your suppliers, your customers, and with other people in your industry. So the things we've been talking about have perhaps been less technical in terms of things you could grasp, and more process, tools, ways of thinking, ways of doing things. Scotland makes a really superb case study. Because we chose to go with the Climate Change Act very early on in the piece, and because of the targets and because of the fact that we've reached them, albeit for a whole variety of reasons, I think that we've tried some things that we would certainly recommend to other countries not to do. We've done some things that we would absolutely recommend other countries try to do, and we've developed expertise. I work within the academic sector, and we have very good expertise as we've tried to understand the governance, the legal regimes, the tools and techniques, the accounting, through to how Parliament might scrutinise this material, through to putting consumption carbon into it, not just production carbon, etc. So I'm very enthused about Scotland in general, but in this area really enthused about how a relatively understandable and grabbable size economy can show you what they tried, what worked, what didn't, what work is still left to do. So I think it's a really big opportunity for Scotland to articulate on a broader world stage about how other people might try to follow us in their own way through that same journey. I really like the analogy of Bitesize. Within our group, we've already found some quite big mouthfuls. So, for example, redesigning materials. Now, that's not something that conversations here can resolve, but it can identify it's something that there are other people who aren't here today who have expertise in it and might be taken forward. So I really like the idea of trying to come away from this event with maybe 5 or 6 decent bites of the cherry for what we need to deal with next. And I know there's an apple on it, but I think bites of cherry is always much nicer than bites of apples.